amazing. The opportunity for us to learn from each other. So it is what I call facilitated learning. So it's not a training, it is sharing of ideas. This is my second year. Tech Beyond is always pushing the edge, being more innovative, finding new ways to engage their participants and taking the participants to a higher level and us as speakers to a higher level as well. Innovation is all about looking and listening, experimenting, and learning. So it is not something that you do once. It is, to me, the opportunity for the future. You know, old style problem solving is you have a very clear problem. With innovation, you're not sure what the problem is, and you're definitely not sure what the solution is. So innovation, in my mind, is about bringing together people to solve future complex problems. The world needs innovation. You betcha. That is definitely one of the key pieces. But even before you get to the experiment phase, it begins with the looking and the listening. Finding out who are the end users that you want to understand better before you ever even get to the experiments phase. So it's a process that begins with what we call the inspire phase, to learn what are the needs and the aspirations, those unmet needs of your customers. Then you turn those into a question. The key is in the question. If you ask better questions, you're going to get better ideas. And then you go and you conduct experiments. Fail early to succeed sooner. So there are a top three that I have. I believe that people can remember three. One, not asking the right questions. There's a framework we use within design thinking that is called the how might we question versus how should we or how can we. Makes it sound like there's a single answer. That might work for problems that are very clearly defined. But for innovation, it needs to be broader. How might we solve the problem? The right question leads to the right thinking and the right ideas. Secondly, I say cubicle-shaped thinking leads to cubicle-shaped ideas. If you are only sitting behind your desk in a cubicle, in an office, in a laboratory, and you are never getting out to actually observe users, the end users of your product, the customers, the consumers, those what we call extreme users, you're not going to be able to gain empathy to what are those unmet needs. And then the third one, I think I mentioned it earlier, is fail early to succeed sooner. Conducting more and more experiments, trying things out, piloting things, so that it's not you go for one idea, and if it's a failure, then you go away and nobody ever hears from you again. You try things. For an entrepreneur, I think you really need to understand what is your competitive advantage. So what is it that you can be the best in the world at? What is it that the world needs that you have to offer? And how can you fuel your economic engine and make money at this? So you could be very passionate and inspired by something, but if nobody needs it and you can't make money at it, you will not be a successful entrepreneur. I like to think of myself as a firefly. Do you have fireflies in Mexico? So you know how, as a child, everybody gathers together for a firefly hunt. Everybody is happy, they're excited, they have a common goal to catch as many fireflies as you can. Everybody brings their best thinking, their best behavior, they're all inspired, and you celebrate the fireflies that you capture. I see myself as the firefly. I am the catalyst that brings people together. I help them learn how to work together most effectively and get better results than they ever thought possible. Is it such a thing as there is no normal morning? So it is part of what I love about being an entrepreneur myself. I've had my company now for 17 years, and I would never change it. Every single day is different. Sometimes I am on a wonderful trip here to Mexico and teaching to this very engaged group of participants on a subject I'm passionate about, innovation. In 2 weeks, I'll be leading a 2-day strategic planning session to help a company to figure out where do they want to go and how do they need to work together as a leadership team to get there. So for me, each day is different. And I had to think back to what I was doing when I was 24. I was in my first job. I was working in the Human Resources Department for Days Inns of America, the hotel company, and I was working on a variety of special projects. So they would give me an assignment like, why aren't we making more money with something called targeted jobs tax credit? And I'd say yes, and I'd go off and I'd go and find the answer. I'd do research, and it was just wonderful. And I did that for 2 years and loved research, learning about problems, finding new solutions. So I loved creativity and innovation even way back then. For the youth of today, what I recommend is trust yourself. To make sure your voice gets heard. You have such an important message to share on so many different topics. You know, in America, and I have a 21-year-old, and I'm always asking her about the millennials. And, you know, how do the millennials feel about this? And she's like, enough, basta, right? Basta, enough. But everybody wants to know about millennials. Everybody wants to know what you think because you are the next big generation. Everybody wants to hear your thoughts. Thank you. I love the Mexican people. You are so warm and friendly. Every time I come to Tech Beyond, I feel so loved and valued and appreciated and respected, and it's just wonderful.